one that's waiting. This will be number 2. That's
Are you sure?
Posted. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, do you want to start with what you want to start about?
Oh my God, yes. Discussion and power. Oh my goodness. Actually, there was a lot that was happening this week, and I wanted to discuss it. But more importantly, something that grinded my gears was this new specific genre of horror that's been out lately.
But that ain't even horror, because I think that's why you were upset about it.
No, it's absolutely horror.
No.
But the problem is that it's I call it, I've coined it as racial horror, where and essentially it's any movie that uses racism to any effect to drive the main plot of the story, and then mask it as horror because
I mean, in a sense, I feel like what it is that they're trying to unlock what the magic of Jordan Peele.
But that's the problem.
But the thing is that Jordan Peele is not really magical, right? That's amazing script writing. That is research. That is forethought, and that is an acquired skill that he's worked on for quite some time.
I somewhat agree with your points. Now, Jordan Peele, he has 2 theatrical movies that we can all remember: Get Out and Us.
Right. And
the one thing that Jordan Peele has made clear, very clear, is that all he wanted to do was to make movies, horror movies specifically, that starred black people.
And
because
that was his only premise.
We've already seen white guys or white women in horror for only the last invention of movie making.
Right, as far as
so he wanted to make movies that had and starred black people.
But not just black people. He wanted to capture that culture, that nuance. Because there's black people in scary movies, but that's why they joke about it all the time about black people being the token black person dying first. They were like very one-dimensional.
Those movies never starred and revolved around black people.
No, but
what made Jordan Peele successful was that he took a very simple premise and expanded it out and made it very clear that it was different than your normal typical horror, and that, to me, that's what made Get Out so great.
But I think I don't feel that way. I feel that, so the way I look at it, right, is that it's very unfair to say that there hasn't been black representation in scary movies. We have the Wayne brothers remaking all those different
those
scary.
Are comedy.
No, you didn't let me finish. So there's been black people, there's been the caricature of black men, black women, but a very much like a shuck and jive representation. And if we are in horror movies or represented in horror movies, we're very one-dimensional. We don't add or take away from the plot. Like if you remove that character, it would have no consequence.
Yeah.
And then if they even cared to have like some type of ethnic background, it would be to play on some type of like slave ritual. They gave them no meaning. They were extremely one-dimensional. They were there to push the story if they were so lucky, or just background to say that you filled your black quota.
Yeah.
What Jordan Peele did, in my opinion, is he brought, I would equate it to be like, when you hear a non-black person using AAVE and they're saying the right words but in the incorrect context, and then it's more like a felt type of thing. It is a dialect in and of itself, so when it sounds incorrect. I think that's what he unlocked. He went into it and was just kind of like, you know what? I'm going to make it about black people, and it's not going to be a caricature. We are just going to tell a horror from a black lens.
Yeah.
In its entirety.
Yeah.
Do you know how hard that is?
No, it is hard. And I'm not discrediting John. I'm trying to explain the difference between racial horror and what Jordan Peele has done.
Right.
So everyone took the racial undertone that was in Get Out, and they, pretty much perverted it until what
Very
we
much
got
perverted it.
with Antebellum.
That's a damn
and now
good
we're
word.
going to get the same goddamn thing with either they or them. Which,
what the fuck?
Yeah,
Like,
which is ridiculous. So, and that's what
very perverse.
That's why I'm like very upset with it.
I want to hold that language there.
Even though that there was a heavy racial undertone with Get Out,
that was not the premise of the fucking.
Yeah, the racism alone fit within the spectrum of the sci-fi element.
The storytelling.
It was the sci-fi that made that movie what it was.
Exactly.
It wasn't the racism. It wasn't the undertones. It wasn't all the microaggressions. It wasn't the transgressions that happened between Daniel's character. It was the sci-fi
play on
element.
Technology.
It was the sci-fi element that moved that movie. That's what made Get Out better than what you usually see in movies.
It just happened to have black people in it, which is why his genius is kind of, I think, a little bit ahead of his time, because he was able to do something like that. And you can see when it's being perversed or misinterpreted in other movies, but you can see when it's done right and Get Out.
And then you look at his second film, which all within itself is a great premise to a great sci-fi series. But looking at the movie itself,
and the thriller too.
The point of that movie wasn't because it was a black family.
No,
because you could have replaced that family with any color family.
That's why
it was the
so
sci-fi element of us that made that movie what it is today. That movie, yes, even though it was a no, I'm gonna retract that before I even say it, because there wasn't a strong racial tone in us as there was in Get Out.
No, we just got to see black bodies.
Correct.
And
they followed a black family. The only interaction that they had with other people, where white America or just most of America would say that it had racism in it or talked about racism, was the interaction between the white family and the black family.
Yeah, but even then
that wasn't extravagant in that movie.
It wasn't even.
It was about the science experiment that the government had.
Exactly.
That had all those tethers underground.
But it's not even just that. Mm-hmm. Because what you also got to think is that, and I keep bringing it back to his genius, you could have took out that white family, made them black or any other ethnicity, and it would have worked.
No, with any family. You could have looked at the main cast of that family and made it any other color. But the genius behind Jordan Peele was, I'm not just gonna make just the same horror movie that we've seen 1,000 times. Nope. I'm gonna make a movie that looked and felt like us.
Exactly.
And they did that, and he did a great job. And the movie didn't have as much racial undertone. Actually, I feel like
it had none. That's what I was about to say. I was about to disagree and say I really don't think it had any racial undertone. It was really just a horror movie followed,
and the family happened to be black, and it was about it had a sci-fi
premise.
It
had sci-fi thriller type of feel with the twist and everything.
The sci-fi and the suspense behind it was made that movie good. Now, that leads me to our third film, the first of the Jordan Peele fiasco that they tried to sell heavily. They tried to use Antebellum because they used some of the same producers from Us and Get Out. I guess they had some of the producers write that movie or produce that movie, and the movie sucked.
And it sucks so bad.
The movie sucked not because of the actors, not because of anything. I think Janelle Monáe
did what she could.
Hardest.
Gabrielle Sidibe, she gave her thing.
That movie played on Jordan Peele's success so heavily, and it was just not.
It was
Jordan
up in the Kool-Aid and didn't know the flavor.
Exactly. In that movie, to me, was all about just the torturing and
no reason.
Yeah, the torturing of black bodies, essentially.
But like it was just like racial porn.
Yeah, the premise of the movie was that there's a secret society of white supremacists, and when they feel that black figures within the system
or
get
the
too
society
prevalent or get too loud per se, they kidnap them and they have them reenact slavery behind the scenes of a World War, a Civil War reenactment.
But was
reenactment city or whatever the case may be, and literally it was just them torturing, beating, and killing black people. Just indiscriminately, and so they were raping. There was anything that usually takes place in a slave movie happened in Antebellum, and that was it. It was racist, being extremely racist, just for the sake of being racist. There's no sci-fi
it didn't tell a story. There was no reason when we found out. When you literally, and I've always told you this, and I know you're about to laugh. So you know how my pet peeve of movies is when you don't be 10 toes down, right? And how I define that is you do something and then explain it away by something very trivial, right?
Yep.
So that if somebody says, you're trying to say, oh, like, it's like a jump scare, like, I got you, but did I? And it's just like, no, you missed. You completely missed. So it's kind of like when you see a whole movie, you get to know these characters, you become invested, and then it was a dream.
Yep.
I'm fighting everybody.
Yep. That wasn't Antebellum, by the way.
That wasn't Antebellum, but it kind of was. There was no secret world. There was no sci-fi element that like brought.
I think that they were pushing the boundaries of racial horror, they were pushing the boundaries.
But
of
they
horror
made it seem like there was some technology
using racism to push the envelope. And the problem with that is that we've seen so much racial or racist acts in film that we don't want it in our horror. We just don't.
That's true, but it's something different for me as well.
And the fact that the trailers to this movie made it seem like there was some sci-fi element to it.
That's what I signed on for.
That she looks in. A lot of the slaves looked into the sky.
The sky.
And they see a plane.
It seemed like it was like
out.
Yeah.
And then she's doing some cryptic
like walk. Like it was like even if it was just monstrous, I would have been okay with that.
It was none of that.
Spiritual, I would have been okay with that.
It was about a successful black author who was
literally
speaking about the black agenda or speaking to black people to liberate them.
In the middle of the goddamn woods.
These racist white people kidnapped her and had her hiding in a town called Antebellum, and essentially they were using this town's success of the Civil War antics to then take a step further and not just reenact the battles, but then reenact what happens on plantations. And these group of white folks were raping and killing and beating the women and men, having them pick cotton, burn the cotton afterwards. If they got out of line in any certain way, they were raping, killing, and beating them again.
I feel like I'm gonna talk about this on my TikTok. Just saying.
We can, but. That was the entire premise. She was able to escape. She finds out that there's cell phones, and she fights her way out. And the last 10 minutes of the movie,
if you wanted to kidnap
was
her,
the best part of that movie.
Just...
Everything else was just.
But what I'm saying is that they could have if you wanted to kidnap her, right? And we were still very much staying in the realm of reality. We weren't going to be traveling to no alternate reality. There was nothing like tethered to some type of mystery or spirituality.
There's no sci-fi in it. There was nothing in it at all.
You could have just kidnapped her.
It was
like we could have had a better story. They kidnapped this girl, brought her into the woods with no cell phone service with some other black folks picking cotton for an hour and a half, only to find out that she was within 2 miles of freedom the entire time. Like they were basically all just playing dress up.
Yeah,
bitch. No, I want to fight.
Yeah, the movie was. Important story is that Antebellum was the first of what seems like is going to be a very long line of horror movies that are supposed to be geared and pushed to black people, and all it is going to be all it is going to be extremely black racist concepts over and over again with no dialect, with nothing. And Antebellum was the first of that. And Antebellum now has labeled itself as the Jordan Peele of horror movies. And that's not the same thing. Jordan
not even
Peele
horrific.
Is over here, and the racial horror is all somewhere in the basement or in the attic. Just somewhere where it don't belong. I just don't want to see this trend of movies happen. And it's happening slowly. Another one that was actually that I would consider more of the Jordan Peele class of horror was Bad Hair from Hulu that we watched. That one was okay.
They took it as far as I would like for them to have taken it, meaning they involved other things.
I would say the difference between that and the racial horror that we're seeing is that this movie was completely surrounded, involved, and communicated within a specific black community.
Very specific.
And then it didn't necessarily venture into all of the microaggressions and all of the terrible things that happened to black people during the 90s or within business.
There was no
it had a little bit of issues, but really it talked about the dynamic of black women in hair, and it added a crazy superstitious sci-fi element to it.
And it was great.
And that's what made
made it good.
There was a little bit of sexism and classism, the same shit that you see in business in general.
Yeah, but they just put it in there just to be realistic.
Yes,
I feel like they put it in there to say, hey, we're gonna set it in this time. We're gonna be honest.
Yep.
But that's it.
But ideally, they had some big name stars all over the place, including the one that's right in this movie, Them or They. Lena Rath, who's been getting a lot of slack lately from certain people within the black community. Yeah. No, I'm going to speak my opinion because I just don't understand how she allows herself to be part of projects that continue to make her look bad, considering that she's had a lot of success with a lot of things that with a lot of things in the movie industry. I mean, she went from Ready Player One. She had a hit series on HBO. She starred she co-starred in, or I think she was more than a support player because I feel like her character made Ready Player One a little bit better, in my opinion. But she also had a hit series on HBO. Like, she is not a stranger to success. She also was involved in Once Upon a Time, I think, with the Oprah Winfrey stuff. I believe so. Don't quote me on that. Okay. But she's been in Hollywood long enough and successful enough to know that.
Question for you.
That she shouldn't be involved in trash like them.
Do you think that she is involved, and if it's successful, it's good, but she's in a situation to where they're just gonna hang her out to dry if it's bad?
No, because I think movies like They or movies like Them, I gotta get the name right because I don't want to say They because I feel like They is a different movie.
It's definitely.
Yeah.
What is it?
Well, They I feel like is a different movie, but Them.
I feel like it's Them. I could be
wrong.
It is.
It's called Them.
Okay.
And. Yeah, and then even like when you Google Them the movie, or Them Amazon Prime, the first 6 people that you see, or the first 4 people that you see in that movie is all of what I would consider the minor cast of all the white people that's in the movie, and then you would see the black family that stars in it after, and that there tells me that this movie is going to be just a disastrous shit show. And it's a shame because there is talented people. In fact, one of the young women. One of the young ladies that was in Us is in this movie too.
They tried it.
If you watch the trailer is circled around this black family moving into this white neighborhood, and how automatically we already know when a black family moves in a white neighborhood, things happen to them, and it takes place in the 50s or 60s. So there's already the heavy racial undertone in the first 2.5 seconds of this trailer, and then they go on to the horror element of it, where we see people in blackface.
I'll pass.
I'll take a pic. We see a black figure or a white figure in blackface, and he has some demonic look to him. We see the neighborhood terrorizing, always saying had the one-liners that they do have, and it talks about how they got to get rid of them, and that this is their neighborhood and it's worse than Compton, and the only way that they can be better, or the only way they can get rid of them, if they're worse than worse. And and then from the dialogue from the black family is, we belong here, we live here.
But it makes
a lot of heavy racial undertone.
But it makes me not believe them.
That was it.
Yeah, but it does. You know what? You know why I don't believe them is because it is so simplistic as you moved into a white neighborhood. Like I said, what series is out here or was out here killing it and shows that you can have race be heavily involved in a film, and not have that be the premise. What is it called? Lovecraft Country. It can be done.
That I actually wrote a tweet about that. Even Lovecraft Country, I don't look it doesn't fit into that mold that I was saying about racial horror.
No.
It takes place in the 50s,
so they have to explain it.
Well, they don't, because they don't do much explaining.
They don't.
The audience already knows that it's the 50s in Chicago, and they already know that there's racism involved.
And that's
what makes Lovecraft Country so great, again, is the sci-fi element. Yes. The sci-fi is what drives that plot forward every and each time. We already know that there's racism that lived in the South Side or East Side.
Now let's figure out these motherfucking monsters. Let's figure out these witches. Let's figure out these demons. Let's figure out these bloodlines. Let's figure out where to look at.
They don't sit there and treat us and torture us with the nasty images of racism and the nasty images.
It's
of
implied, and that's it. It's so nice.
No, because there are some aspects that it is showed, but we already knew. The times.
We expected it.
This movie, actually, and I think it might just be a series. It's a drama series. Oh no. Yeah, it's a drama series, and you know what's funny? Even in the IMDb credits of it, they speak to Lena Raff being involved in it, executive produced by Lena Raff, but she's not showed in the casting or directing. On a quick Google search of it, this show is going to be a shit show, and I don't want to see more of it. I don't want to see any more of it at all. And the problem is that there's a lot more of it on a lot of the other streaming services.
I think that's why you're like annoyed with it. I don't think you're annoyed with that they made a bad show, film, whatever. I think what's upsetting is that you're kind of like, oh, I feel like they think they got something, so that means they're gonna keep thinking they got something, and they're gonna keep abusing me and do. I don't want to see no more of this. I don't want to see another one in 12 months or 6 months. I don't care. We should stop this because it's not a thing.
It upsets me. It upsets me because, again, I look at Lena and I feel like she's had success. She's made leaps and bounds in her career. She's done some amazing things, but this is not one of them. And I feel like, there's some people, some of the things I've seen about, or at least some of the feedback that I've seen online have been very much around the same as me, that people just don't want to see any more shows or any more TV shows where the element, the plot, and the main characters are all moved and pushed forward through racism. Mm-hmm. It is that simple. If you're gonna make a concept that takes place, a horror concept that takes place in the 50s and 60s, we as an audience already know that there's going to be racial undertone to it. We don't need the entire series and show to be scripted around racism. It's tiring. I was tired when 12 Years a Slave came out 10 and a half years ago, or 12 and a half years ago.
And
it's tiring.
My madre, I love her so much. Made you watch it how many times?
No, she used to watch it
like
back
one
to
night.
back.
She made you watch it back to back.
But I was tired. But I've always been tired. Like you know what movie that stands out really, really heavy to me, that I feel like it would be the epitome of what U.S. history represents and how people interact. Roswell.
That movie gives me bad juju. You know what it is? You know me and my family, and I think I've briefly explained to you why as immigrants we're so obsessed kind of with like slavery narratives.
I think I said that wrong because Roswell is the one about the aliens.
No, I think you meant Rosewood.
Yes,
I knew what you meant, but I always tell you like how obsessed we are because it's just something that we didn't know. This is not our history lesson. This is an American history lesson, right? But it was Their Eyes Are Watching God and Rosewood gives me the heebie-jeebies. I could not I consumed them more than once, and I just something in it don't sit right in my spirit. I don't know what it is. I don't like it. And I love all slave narratives. So
for the younger generation or anyone that hasn't seen Rosewood is about it's about a town in Florida that took place in 1923, and essentially a homeowner in the middle, African American homeowners that lived in America, they were fighting off a lynch mob. With that being said, so this movie to me, and I even remember seeing it young as a kid. Mm-hmm. And you're right, it's one of those movies that you can only really watch once.
Yeah.
And the racism, the undertones, what it meant, and everything. First off, it's a good film, but to me, this would be, I would almost say that this would be the catalyst to the racial horror that we see today, because that movie is horrific. And it's horrific because it is violent, and it is a very true depiction, or the elements of it can be very, very true in what takes place in what took place in the early 20s and all the way throughout American history. So that movie is very hard to watch. It's very hard to stomach. And even as a kid, when I saw that movie, in between the adults watching it, it's crazy. And that was by John Singleton, and we all know how we feel about John Singleton.
Exactly. But I think like I said, I come from a different background, and I would just say I would have to agree with you. I don't know what about it, because I am definitely here for Color Purple. I'm here for Roots. I'm here for every time they remake Roots. I'm here for Runaway. I'm here for the story of Nat Turner. I'm here for all of it. In 12 Years a Slave, Amistad, the harsher the better, almost for me. I really do. I cannot misrepresent those movies and say that I don't care for them, because I do, and you know this. Rosewood, and the other one that I told you about, Their Eyes Are Watching God, with Halle Berry.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I just don't want to see. And that's the thing. I do appreciate the fact that Lena is trying to tell a story and put her spin onto it, because in no way that is she trying to retell the black story or the black struggle or anything like that with this. This is purely a horror movie. I get that it's meant to be scary, but I tell you what, I'm a black man in America. I don't need my horror to reflect what I have to go through on a daily basis. And I don't want it to be exaggerated or construed or be belittled by just for the sake of entertainment. Because as much as I know that this is meant for entertainment purposes, that this is meant to this is not meant to be any kind of historically accurate. The racial undertones is very real, and it's stuff that people experience on a daily basis, to a point to where even today, as a black homeowner, or used to be a black homeowner, it's impossible. Not impossible, but it's more difficult for us to have the same things as our white counterparts already, and that when you are fortunate to own a home and you move into certain areas, we know that there is discriminatory processes within the lending process, within the evaluation process, within the actual housing market. There's discriminatory processes.
Man,
I just don't want to see a TV show or a movie or any kind of entertainment, any type of form of media entertainment that then takes that and turns it into a horror element.
Right.
I'm tired. I'm tired.
Thanks.
And I feel like there's enough people out there that is also tired. If you're gonna make a movie that's centered around racism, keep that shit to yourself, unless you're actually adding to some type of value to the conversation.
Right. Or if you're gonna open up a new world,
this has no value to it.
But it's history. So if you want to play on that, that's fine. But I do think that you need to be putting something else into it. I don't want to see black bodies abused for 2 hours and then find out it was because
this is a series. This is going to be a series.
Okay, yeah.
So you're gonna see black bodies abused every episode practically.
No thanks.
And they're gonna try to say, well, it's just entertainment.
No.
This is not the entertainment we asked for.
No.
And again, it's very disappointing when we look
You're
at someone
traumatizing me.
as prevalent as Lena to be involved in this as an executive producer. It's disgusting. And then it makes so bad, they do what every other marketing aspect of it does, and tries to find something that's similar but different, and just copy the marketing scheme. So already, as soon as you open up the trailer to this, in the first 10.5 seconds, you're asking yourself, is this a Jordan Peele film, or is Jordan Peele associated at all with it? Because then most people will watch it. And the problem with that is Jordan Peele is not associated with it, and his movies are being mistakenly misrepresented in the media and to the audience. Jordan Peele does not make racial horror. He makes horror, and it so happens to be he involves mainly black characters, and he does a great job at storytelling about doing it. And the problem is that people can't get around the racial undertone to it, and they take that, expand it, pervert it, and put it out, and they call it entertainment, and it's not. Okay. Antebellum was trash.
Okay, but I want to segue a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, but I'm not done. So.
Oh.
let me finish. Annabelle was trash.
Yo.
I never want to see Annabelle again.
My
I don't. It makes so bad to where I listen to Janelle Monáe when she comes on my playlist. I have to skip because all I can remember is how dirty they did her in this film. And, of course, like everyone else in 2020, they were trying to do the best they can and selling movies and shit like that. And I just feel like they did her dirty. I can't listen to Janelle Monáe because I can't believe she would associate herself with such a low ball hanging... It's not even fruit at this point. It is shit. Low ball hanging shit. That movie was awful, but it looked great. It looked great. I can't deny the art behind it. I can't deny her acting ability or anyone's acting ability in that film, but that movie was shit. The best part of that movie was Gabby Sidibe. That was it. And you look shocked because you don't remember she was in that movie.
No,
yes, she was.
I do remember.
That was the best part of the movie.
I do remember because I definitely gave her props.
Well,
but
she's the best part of the movie, and that movie was fucking trash.
You know me. You get so passionate, and I do. Yeah, but you do.
What was the other one? Oh, the bad hair. If you're gonna make a movie that uses racial undertone and things like that, do it like Black Hair, because that was actually pretty decent. It had its moments where it was a little boring, but overall, that was a good way to tell a horror aspect in movie with a little bit of heavy racial overtone. And again, I would argue that the heavy racial, it wasn't actually racist, it was actually sexist because it was about a woman trying to grow in her field, and she couldn't. And one of the things that was stopping her, that other people was telling her, was her hair.
And her race.
Yes. What she wasn't light skinned. There's an aspect of colorism in that film, heavy aspect of colorism, because she was a darker skinned black woman, and all of the lighter skin, including her boss, were getting, were advancing and moving through the film, but. Overall, that was done decently.
I think the colorism had a part to do with it, but I also think that
I think a lot of people look at that and use the colorism and label it as racist.
No.
I don't want that to happen.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that I think that there is an element of colorism, but I also think that there is an element of not allowing black women to just be. And when I say that, I mean the black women that were advancing around her, because there were black women advancing around her. They had a niche. Like, they were the ghetto girl. They were a caricature of some type of black woman. Mm-hmm. And since she was, I would say, extremely thoughtful in her career and kind of knew what she wanted about herself, but she didn't particularly stand out for any reason. Now, even in being black,
she didn't stand out though.
Wait.
I feel like we have to say why.
No. Wait. The fact that she didn't stand out, I feel like for other races of women, that is not considered as a negative condensation, right? We say things these days like, you have the same 24 hours as Beyonce. In the black race, and then even more so for black phenotypically looking black women that are just not ambiguous, it is almost frowned upon to not be excellent, to not have excellence. And these women can have aspects of their being that's excellent, because this woman in the film was a very good producer. Her thoughts, she developed shows, and I think she did a damn great job at it. And I think in that right, she was absolutely excellent, but she did not present as a excellent black girl. If you're phenotypically black, you dark skinned, got the nerve to have natural hair, and want to blend in the background, what's that? You know what I'm saying? You need to capture somebody's attention in your physicality before they're even willing to listen to you. And so I feel like they captured that, but I feel like if you weren't a black woman watching it from that lens, you probably would have missed that. Mm-hmm. Because we look at people like Lupita Nyong'o, that's excellent. She's so beautiful. Yeah. Kelly Rowland, the same thing. The thing I just mentioned about Beyonce, like they are dark-skinned black women. Naomi Campbell, the other model woman that I don't really know her name, but she's beautiful and she has such dark, pretty skin. But you have to use your physicality to even get in the goddamn door. So that's why, especially on platforms like TikTok, where they say it's about time that we just let black women get famous on this app for just being, right? nothing attached to it. If you find that they're pretty awesome in a particular part of their their existence, because people are so multifaceted, then fine. But it's not bad to be normal.
Yeah.
It is as a black woman, though.
Yeah, I do want to give Bad Hair their props though, because
it was fantastic.
Exactly what you said. You know, this the main character, she just wanted to live in that space to succeed. And the one thing that they harped on, which I feel like there are going to be folks that will harp and focus on the colorism aspect of it, was that it made very clear. Vanessa Williams' character, she was like, you need to get your hair done, you need to fix it, it can't be the way it is. And even the
you need to change your clothes, you need to dress differently.
Even the other background characters, the other producers on those shows, there was one that was like, a black and I'm proud, y'all, Miss Black Girl. And then even Lena's character in there was more of the, your
around the way girl,
yeah,
but very much around the way girl. So it's very one dimensional. She wasn't allowed to then be soft or anything else.
Vanessa Williams' character, convinced them to all get weaves in, and
they stayed true to their plot.
Yeah, well, they get all weaves in, and the weave would take control and kind of change who they were on the outside, so that way they can be successful and lead forward. It just speaks to the sexism that women have to face, and then in particularly the colorism that black women have to go through to change their appearance in order to be acceptable. Black Hair did a great job making the audience who's not familiar with that
just understand
what the challenges this character face. And the difference is they made sure that you got the point, and then they moved on, and
they didn't stay there, but
the sci-fi horror
it also showed that
her very nice.
It also showed that her landlord tried to rape her, and that was something that he was doing amongst the black women there. Yeah. And the black women in her building weren't particularly presented in a sexualized way, but it just goes to show you that no matter how you present to the world, just having the tint of being black makes other people or other races of men sexualize you for absolutely no reason.
It did talk about, and that goes back to the sexism. That speaks to the sexism in the movie. Like you said, the landlord was going around raping them, and the only thing that they had in common was that they were black, and he felt like they weren't going to tell anyone because they needed a place to live.
Right.
And I think they did well. How they killed off that character and showed something is something
something
that's very real, something that is very traumatic. They did it in a way to where
and then moved on
well in the movie, and they moved the hell on. They didn't have 6 to 4 other rape scenes like they did in Antebellum.
But anyways, can we segue finally?
Yeah, sorry, I had to get it off my chest.
Yeah, it's a lot. I still got to film tonight. Okay, so this is something that I want to talk about. I don't want to spend too much time on it, like I said, because I got to film other stuff for TikTok. But I got into a very spirited argument with my sister, and it wasn't an argument. It was more like a discussion. And the discussion consisted of my sister taking, I would say, the high road, but I don't even consider it the high road. I just consider it something against the status quo, where she was like, why are we so concerned with Derek Jackson's relationship? Why are we concerned, right, as a whole? Mm-hmm. And I explained to her, she's like, that's his personal life. I said, no, it's not. It's not his personal life, because his ass came over here and bothered us. Okay? He came over here and he separated himself. He separated himself by presenting himself to be a person that was well-lived, meaning he had made all the mistakes that you would make commonly as a young black man in America. And because of that, he has overcome and now chooses to help the rest of society. Now, when you put yourself in that kind of position, you are angling as if you are inherently looking down at your audience, because they have not evolved to where you currently stand, right? And you're trying to bring them to the other side. The problem with this imagery, and it's something that I'm still at, it was a very interesting conversation with my sister, because it's something that I feel like I'm still navigating right now on TikTok, is because Derek Jackson could have still done everything that he's doing, had a cheating scandal, and come out almost unscathed. People.
You think he didn't come out unscathed? I think he did.
No,
he still
I
has
don't.
a relationship. He still has a platform. That seems unscathed to me.
No, that's as a man's perspective. What I'm saying is that things are all over the internet, and his brand is tainted to the point to where anyone can discredit anything that he's saying, whether he's saying something good or bad. Somebody can just disagree with it because of the things that he chose to do. Now, explain to my sister, because I gaining followers online, right? And I present myself to not be politically correct, right? I say what I want, I do what I want, and I try to present it in humor. My overall disposition is respectful, but God's still working on me. I make that very clear. I am not the star, and people that follow me are my fans. That creates this godlike separation in between you and society, and all I have is a number on my phone display screen. Like, what? That doesn't even make any sense. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, it's that duality of saying, I'm going to make mistakes. My goal, my mission statement is to be tolerant, is to be authentic, have an opinion. Most importantly, the more people that follow me, the thing that washes over me the most is responsibility. And I struggle with responsibility all the time. And I spend the most time engaging, discussing this responsibility that I feel like is now placed on my shoulders. That don't mean I am here to raise your children. You know what I'm saying? But does that mean that I go out of my way to spread misinformation? Absolutely not. Do I go the extra mile and make sure that I can find everything that I already thought? So, I have like a lot of useless knowledge, I could say, because I consume.
Not useless, trivial.
There you go. And I know what I remember, and I can regurgitate it. But what if I misconstrue a point, and I just put that out to 150,000 people? That's irresponsible. So I was explaining to my sister, like, what is happening to Derek Jackson is self-imposed. He should be going through this. He is the one that created this equation. He could have curated whatever type of social media presence, whatever type of brand, whatever type of mission statement he wanted to. He chose the message of being godlike, or just out of reach, or guru, or somebody that's so smart, therefore everybody else is less smart, or less experienced. And that's the danger with that, because you know what? That makes you lose touch in and of itself, right? Because now people are putting you up on this pedestal. So at first you said it to, I don't think he started it off this way. I think this was a good marketing ploy. He got a lot of people, he got a lot of fans, and he got a lot of fans quick. But if you present yourself that way and people buy into your reality, and then now you're surrounded with only your reality. And then you out here doing fuck shit. And then you want all of us to be like, oh, I messed up. And I'm like, there's a bunch of people out here that have lived their lives good. Does that mean they were perfect? Absolutely not. They chose to be true to themselves, raise good kids if they chose to have children, be kind to others, not be malicious, be as honest as possible, be as authentic and genuine as possible, and then they die. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's possible. Because I see people saying things like, or I see people online like, oh, if Derek Jackson is this, that means that all men cheat, or all of the, everybody's bullshit.
I never knew that anyone really took Derek Jackson serious.
Oh, they take him so serious. He has like a cult-like following. But they're now measuring him up, and I'm like, there's a bunch of human beings out here that's just trying to live their life, pay their bills, go on vacation, eat some food, get a stimmy or two, and die. You know what I mean? Like, ain't nobody is, but he created this, and then wants to kind of move the goalposts. So you're saying that we're supposed to be making mistakes? Because the goal is to get like you to transcend to be the Derek Jackson level. So if the Derek Jackson level, I'm being serious.
Is that a thing?
I'm being so serious. Women are aspiring to have spouses be like him.
Not anymore.
But then that's the problem, because do you know that most men, not most men, Lord Jesus, but enough men, some men are just regular men. They have a young manhood. They enjoy themselves, whatever they find to be enjoyable to themselves. They meet someone that after all of this, settle down, don't cheat, excel at things, and that's it. The problem is that most of those men don't want to be worshipped. They don't have that complex to be like, well, everybody look how cool I am. Everybody like be just like me and let me teach you how to be me. There are people that is living the life that Derek Jackson portrays himself to be living all over the damn United States. But you know what? Those men's wives, some of those men's wives, right, that are part of his cult-like following is like, oh, if Derek Jackson can do it, my husband can do it. The whole time your husband is just a construction worker, ma'am, truck driver. Susan.
I'm not going to speak to women's cult-like following behind this man, but I can tell you that as a man who's heard some of the rhetoric that Derek Jackson has says, it is complete bullshit.
I don't know if it's complete bullshit.
No, it is. As a man, it is complete bullshit. The problem with Derek Jackson for me, personally, for me, as a man, is that he is speaking to a very specific type of woman. He is not speaking for men to follow. He is not speaking for even women to follow. But he is speaking to a very subset mind of women, or of a target audience that I am not a part of. And the problem with that is, especially with men, when we see men speaking, using themselves as an image, but they're not speaking to other men. They're speaking to a very specific subgroup of people. It becomes from a man's point of view, we see the manipulation of it from Jump Street.
Shots fired.
And it's not that he wants to intentionally manipulate people, but he wants to have people, think in a manner to where that is unrealistic in a hell of a lot of ways. I do think that people can be, faithful, and people can get exactly what they want to get out of a relationship.
Yeah.
But they get that by communicating.
Period.
They get that by actually putting in the work to understand another person's perspective.
But people are already doing that without Derek Jackson.
Exactly. The thing is that Derek Jackson is taking a very subset of people and trying to convince them that all men have to be like this. And everyone should know that men don't like to be they like to be an array of things, not just one particular thing. And that's what I believe is the problem that men have with Derek Jackson. And me in particular, that is actually my problem with him, is because he tries to make it seem that if a man is in a relationship, it is his only responsibility to be a one way of thinking. And that is not how men work. That is not how people work in general. And it's very manipulative. And I think it takes it takes someone who has a little bit of certain tendencies.
Yes.
To recognize when someone is using it, right? You have to have the emotional and the communicative intelligence to recognize when someone is being manipulative, and he's one of them.
Yeah, because I ain't no doctor, so I ain't out here diagnosing nobody. But when I see him, I don't see a truth teller. You know what I'm saying? I don't see a messiah, because like I said, there are people that are living the life that Derek Jackson portrays is who he is acting like he is performing to be. And they ain't out here doing what he doing. These men are the people that, where you ever see, people talk about their like, for example, like 50 Cent. You know what I'm saying? He had that strong, like his grandfather was a strong male figure in his life. Taught him everything he knew, you know, always stayed humble, the array of things. Those type of motherfuckers exist in the world. And they are teaching people in their immediate vicinity.
I feel like 50 Cent was a bad example because that nigga ain't nowhere near humble.
What do you mean?
He's not humble at all.
No, I'm talking about his grandfather, not him, because 50 Cent is trash. But you know, that old man tried. But at the same time, I feel like the old man could not have given 50 Cent lessons in which he could use. You know, so he was a bad example. You're right. But what I'm saying is that these men are affecting their immediate circles. They are teaching their sons. They're helping their cousins. They're, you know, dealing with their nephews. They doing it. They are not selling T-shirts saying black men don't cheat. They out here in the streets doing it, cutting hair, mowing lawns, fixing cars. You know what I'm saying? Like raising kids. They out here already doing it. So much so that they don't have time to be a caricature and act as if they're doing it. They don't got time to tell you what to do. If you want to know what to do, come over here and get under this hood with me. You know what I'm saying? Come here, let me paint your mom's room.
Yep.
Come here, let me teach you something. Oh, you got into a fight? Oh, you did this to your girlfriend? Oh, you got caught doing this? Let me give you a life lesson. Let's talk. That's what these men are doing. They're not the face of a movement.
I agree.
So that's all I had to say about him. Does he deserve to be dragged? Absolutely.
You know what? I'm going to sound like a broken record here, but people need to man up, or at least step up to the plate and have these honest conversations with themselves. I feel like, you know, men in particular, you guys know that. First of all, men within themselves know that monogamy is hard. Okay,
monogamy is hard for everybody. It's not just men.
If you are not, well, I'm talking to men now.
Oh, okay.
But if you get into a relationship and you don't have an honest conversation about monogamy and what that actually means and shit like that, you probably don't need to be in a relationship. And that's a tough conversation to have. A conversation that many of us aren't ready to have, don't know how to have, and afraid. Yeah, because that
it's so hard because it's like you don't want to lose that person.
Well, no, from a man's perspective, that intentionally means that you would be by yourself. And men, especially our generation of men, I'm talking about men who may have been raised in a single-parent household, may have not had a strong male role model in themselves. A lot of men don't know how to live on their own. And they get into these relationships thinking that would complete them and make them happy, only to really get into it, find out what really makes them happy, and realize that they don't necessarily need the relationship for that void. And what do? They move the fuck on, or they do something that doesn't
ruin everybody's life.
Yeah, that doesn't fit the dynamic of that relationship. And the problem starts with the lack of communication. Because I feel like if the communication is there, you would have talked about your thoughts and ideas and opinions on monogamy.
I'm not that great of a communicator. Can't relate.
That also directly translates to the conversation around sex. And that's what I sound like a broken record of. Sex is not just the physical act of it. It is everything that involves with it. The social contract that you have between another person or multiple people with it. You need to talk about sex because a lot of men get in a relationship to have sex, and when they don't get it, or when something doesn't go around, they move on, or they do things like Derek Jackson was doing. So you need to have a better conversation. You need to be a better communicator. You need to actually have an honest conversation about sex and what that means. You need to actually talk about the terms and conditions of your relationship. And if you can't do that, then you will always find yourself in a situation like a Derek Jackson, where one is doing what they want to do and the other one is not. I know I make it sound simple, but it's not simple.
Not.
But that's the hard truth. That is the hard pill to swallow. If you don't communicate about the terms and conditions of your relationship to include and surround it by sex, you will probably not have the greatest relationship.
Okay. Oh my.
What else happened? Oh, well,
that was it.
Well,
that was all the only two things I wanted
did we
to
really
talk
talk?
about.
Yeah, no, we talked about Sweetie. We talked about Sweetie and Quavo and all
did.
that other stuff. Yeah, those are rich. Those are rich people problems. I don't have any input on that.
I plan to be rich real soon. So we're gonna be talking about rich people problems real soon.
You want to talk about that?
What?
You being rich real soon?
No, I don't.
No, you need to communicate. You need to communicate a lot more than what you do.
I know. I don't. I just said I'm not good. You know what?
Yeah,
I am a very honest
person.
So
what are you doing to fix it though?
I'm writing it down in my journal.
Okay. You know that's a problem of mine too, because you ain't got to fix everything. If you know that you bad at something, acknowledgement is half the battle.
It is half the battle.
You ain't got to fix it. But me, I'm a fixer. I like fixing shit, and that's my problem. And I'm not no Bob the Builder either. I fix shit and break it still. So
mostly break it. Mostly break it. It's just like brute strength.
But I just don't like when someone says, "Oh, I'm bad at it." No, you're not bad at it. You just have to improve at it more. You have to try it more. I like that.
I think I'm better. I'm a better communicator than I once was. You know what I'm saying? But Rome was not built in a day. And
but I'm also the same guy that just because you improve on it a little bit doesn't mean that just because you get better at it doesn't mean that it's still good. You know?
Yeah, no. Because I was in the depths of hell. You know what I'm saying? I was raised in a Jamaican family. You know what I'm saying? You don't talk. You know what I'm saying? You shut up your mouth.
We gotta fix that.
Shut up your mouth.
Need to talk.
So I'm really, really, really of the generation of shut up your mouth.
Her and I are in the same generation, by the way, and I just don't feel the same.
No, well, yeah, but like, you know, I feel like we're raised similarly in the sense of I think that black people in the diaspora be raising their kids about the same across the board. But you know, I very much, you know, I'm in there, and plus, I'm charismatic, or I can be charismatic, but I'm very much run away and hide. Like, I don't know, Armand knows I'm scary about like everything. Do you really think I'm gonna be rich soon? I think that I'm gonna be able to be rich very soon. That's how I feel.
I hope so.
No, I'm being one. By the way.